You're watching King 5 News.
New information tonight. We now know 4 Seattle police officers were hurt during a chaotic and violent scene in downtown Seattle. As one group of officers helps walk out their injured brother and sister, more respond to lock down the area and track the suspects. Workers in some buildings are told to take cover, warned there could be a shooter inside.
They said, just stay in your offices, get away from the windows.
Other people grabbed their phones and started recording.
Tonight, 2 suspects are in custody, another is dead.
But here at Harborview, a sense of relief that the officers are expected to recover.
In this case, these 2 people, these 2 wonderful officers are going to be able to go home. And that's the good news of this story.
Here's how the chaotic afternoon played out. At 1:18 p.m., officers got a call about an armed robbery at a 7-Eleven on First Avenue in Pioneer Square. 2 suspects, a 17-year-old girl and 19-year-old man, ran down First Avenue. Officers caught up with them on Western between Madison and Marion. That's where officers began fighting with the suspects. That male suspect then ran into a back door of the federal building right there, and that's when the shooting began. Police arrested a 3rd suspect in the robbery tonight. They have not described his connection.
And now for the officers. 1 is still in the hospital, 2 have been released, and a 4th was actually hit with a bottle during the fight but was treated right there at the scene.
In a press conference less than an hour ago, police said this could have been a lot worse.
Well, we are very grateful that this did not turn out worse. The officer, again, was in stable condition. As you know, that when he was transported, his condition was a lot worse than that, but he was upgraded, and we are very thankful for that. The other 2 officers were treated and released, and they're doing fine, and we are just very gratified that the injuries weren't any worse. This could have been a lot different press conference right now.
The department credits the Kevlar vests worn by officers for preventing this shooting from becoming any worse.
King 5's Heather Graff was at that news conference that just finished, and she's live now from where this all started roughly 9 hours ago. And Heather, we understand detectives are still right there at that scene on Western Avenue.
Well, that's right. In fact, if you take a look just across the street here on Western Avenue, you'll see Seattle Police Department's mobile command post still set up here on the backside of the federal office building where the shooting took place. This is also the building that one of the suspects ran into in the moments that followed the shooting, prompting the building to go on lockdown and some scary moments for federal workers inside.
Kind of all knew we should probably get to our offices. So we went to our offices, shut the doors, turned off the lights, sheltered in place, and then they did announce to all of us that it was a shelter-in-place situation. There could be a shooter in the building, and to just hunker down.
Hunker down while SWAT teams worked to clear the building, and it was only when officers found a male suspect deceased inside the building that the federal office building was deemed safe and employees were allowed to go home. Now, detectives aren't yet sure whether that deceased suspect was shot by police officers or whether he might have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That's one of many questions still to be answered. And tonight, Deputy Chief Carmen Best talked about how this investigation was unfolding so quickly this afternoon, with the number of suspects and the number of officers involved changing rapidly by the hour and at times by the minute.
There's a lot of dynamic information that was happening, a lot of questions about how many suspects were involved. We were able to complete our investigation. We garnered more information that determined there was a 3rd suspect that was outstanding. That suspect is now in custody and is being interviewed.
So as you take another live look at the scene here, the latest from SPD again is that 2 suspects are in custody, a 17-year-old female and a 19-year-old male, and a 3rd suspect was found dead here inside the federal office building. Deputy Chief Carmen Best talked about the officers' incredible courage and bravery that they showed today. She thanked the officers involved for their service. She also thanked the community for the outpouring of support that the Seattle Police Department has received since the moments that shooting took place. For now, we're live tonight in Seattle. Heather Graff, King 5 News.
Heather, thank you for that. The shooting happened in the middle of a Thursday afternoon. Downtown was full of people like Seth Rowan, who'd recorded the initial chaos.
I run in my way. Cop's chasing him. He's got his hand on his waist like this. He cuts the corner, looks a little bit confused. There's a a loading dock area on the back of the federal building. He runs in there.
King 5's Greg Copeland spoke with that man and another guy and joins us now with their stories. Greg.
And what he is describing right there is what Heather Graff, that's where she's live tonight, to give you a better idea. This is a view of downtown. You see the Alaska Way Viaduct right here. This is the federal building. See if I can bring it up a little bit for you. And this is that loading dock right here. Seth was working right in this building across the street on Western Avenue, installing windows. He and the other guy I talked with tonight both described this whole thing as surreal, like nothing they've ever seen in person, only like in the movies. But after that initial yelling, Seth Rowan grabbed his phone and he started rolling.
That's gunfire, at least 10 shots. Seth Rowan was installing windows on the building across the street. He then ran to another room to get a better view. 2 more shots, a pause, and then another 7.
The guy ran in there, shots went off, and I never saw that guy come back out.
It was quite clear that there was something major going on.
Jay Sheldon was just down the street on a lunch break when he heard a gunshot and then the sirens. He walked down the hill for a better view.
We're standing there watching officers run around, more police officers coming in, motorcyclists, and people that were a lot heavier armed for sure.
And then the moment it hit him, how serious this was. What we believe is one of the shot officers being helped out.
They were carrying him. He was clearly hurt, and they were multiple officers helping carry him to the side, away from the scene.
Here are a couple of still shots from Jay's point of view. That was followed by the female officer whose Kevlar vest stopped a bullet, saving her life.
And as soon as she got around the side of the building, other cops came up and helped her get off the site.
Seth kept his head down but kept rolling, eventually watching as police made one arrest.
I saw them cuffing stuff, the lady, and then the SWAT team started showing up and it got really crazy, like the running up with full gear and everything, and then they started telling us to back off.
So Seth and Jay both shot a lot of video, and you can watch more of that if you'd like to by going to king5.com. A lot of that raw video there. Now, both of them also said that while they were shooting that video, they really thought nothing about it until afterward when they watched it and wondered, what the heck were they thinking? Especially Seth, who was, of course, right there across the street for all of that gunfire. Both of them described it as kind of being like in a fog. David?
Greg, thank you. Seth and Jay weren't the only ones taking pictures and videos during all of this. As we said, a lot of people were in high-rises right around the scene of that shooting. Robert tweeted out this picture of the SPD robot. You see it there on the left of your screen. His wife was stuck in a coffee shop nearby. Others tweeted their support for SPD, like Greg and Terry. Both said they were praying for the officers.
A frightening day for sure for Seattle police officers, but a bit of relief tonight as just one officer remains in the hospital.
King 5's Amy Marino is live at Harborview Medical Center tonight with how that officer is doing. Amy.
Well, initially 3 officers were brought here to Harborview tonight. 1 officer remains here. He is in serious condition. He's 30 years old. He was shot in the face, but we're told he's going to be okay. Now, he was originally in critical condition, but his condition was upgraded a few hours ago after he received treatment. Now, a female officer was released just a short time ago. She's 42 years old. She was shot in the chest, and we're told that her tactical vest saved her life. Another officer was shot in the hand. He was actually grazed in the hand. He was treated earlier tonight and then went home. Another officer who was struck in the head by a bottle while fighting with one of the suspects, he was treated at the scene and released. The deputy chief and Mayor Ed Murray were among those who came out here to the hospital today to check on these officers. The mayor said they were in good spirits. He talked with them. He said despite everything they've been through, they were doing well.
When we think about our police, this is who we should think about. People who put their lives on the line every day. People who leave their homes in the morning and their families don't know if they're going to come back. In this case, these 2 people, these 2 wonderful officers are going to be able to go home.
And throughout the afternoon and evening, we have seen dozens of officers out here at Harborview. You know, they talk about these men and women in uniform being like a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and we have seen many coming out here today to support each other through what was a very scary afternoon in downtown Seattle. For now, we're live at Harborview. Amy Marino, King 5 News.
Amy, thank you for the update.